Hello, Bill Johnson here with another Carbon Cub maintenance moment. I've taken a break from working on Gus the Groovy Bus to making some progress here on the Carbon Cub kit. I'll be putting together several videos on this Carbon Cub. We've made a lot of changes from the kit, and I wanted to highlight some of those just to help other builders. One big change we made was to install aluminum fuel lines. You'll see the fuel line here coming across from the tank and up. The same routing as the plastic fuel lines used by Carbon Cub in the kit. But a lot of the plastic lines tend to leak over time, and particularly as they expand and contract and the fittings start to leak. You can see the fitting here we put in the tank, rubber hose that goes back to the aluminum line, which comes down and around. I'll give you a better view of that. The front is the same way, and it comes down beside the window. In this case, all the way around. You can see it here. Give you a better view of how I did that. And then vent it. I have a custom radio installation in this plane. And because the tubing was so long, I had to connect it here. But there's a special tool to put a little lip on the tubing so that the hose seals tightly. And then that comes on down to the T and into the fuel selector valve. There's a close-up of that. Now, we still need to connect this here. Of course, that goes to the engine. This goes to a fuel quick drain sump that still needs to be installed. From that T, again, you go up the door post on the other side. Connects to the tank in the very same way. You can see the aluminum lines laid out. This line goes up into the back of the tank. And of course, that line comes all the way around. This line comes all the way around the back from the right hand tank. So it's all done the same as the plastic. It's just done with AN fittings and aluminum fuel line. This was a bulkhead fitting we bought from Aircraft Spruce so that you can connect it and then put a quick drain in the bottom. And you can see that other aluminum fuel line. Again, there's a view of how it connects into the tank. So we're going to put all this together. We're doing things a little different than the Carbon Cub manual. We're fully assembling the plane, primarily because we're making modifications and want to check those modifications for leaks and that everything works properly before covering anything. And I'll go through a lot of these mods here in the next several videos. But another view of that fuel line comes up and then up the back window post into the tank. So again, I'm a big believer in aluminum fuel lines. I love the Carbon Cub. I think it's a great design. They really worked hard to save weight, but I think the plastic fuel lines are a very bad idea. I think a lot of people over time, hot and cold environments, they're getting leaks in this area or in this area from connectors. So you could see staining on the bottom. I've seen several airplanes with leaks coming out of that fuel selector up in the front. You'll end up with a big stain down in this area. So I like aluminum fuel lines, and that's what airplanes have been built with for decades and decades and decades. And so that's what we wanted to put in this plane. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. It's not a difficult project. You just need to have the right tools. a way to bend tubing. And you can either have, tubing benders. A lot of people use these springs, which you can get from Aircraft Spruce. Slide them over the tubing and you can bend it without the tubing crimping. Of course, there are tubing benders that work really well. Need some cutters to cut the tubing. Here's that flaring tool I was talking about. You put the tube in there and you rotate it to give yourself a lip. Let me see if I can use my tripod here, and I will show you quickly how that is done. Oops, sorry about the finger there, but so you just take the tube, open that up a little bit, put the tube in there. Sorry, the quality of the video is not that good here. Just trying to show you. You rotate it a little bit. And you can see the lip that puts on the tube, so that you can just slide the hose over it and clamp it down. Of course, these springs, you can slide them on, and that allows you to bend the tube without the tube collapsing. Okay, so that's the aluminum fuel line project. There's still a little bit to finish up once we put the engine on the plane, which we're going to do shortly. Again, we're going to fully assemble the plane. Just as an overview of some other things I'll talk about more in depth here on other videos, we've done a completely custom panel. The design was to try to keep all my breakers and switches and for the main bus in one place and all the avionics breakers in another place. Your ignition breakers, ignition components. Usually these ignition breakers are down on the front of the seat pedestal, where you see that big square opening. We have removed the ELT and battery. The battery is mounted on the firewall. ELT is mounted there. You can see we've taken a lot of the electrical components out of here, the solenoids. There's a trim booster that you see. That's safety trim. That allows us to have a full auto trim, so this plane will be able to fly fully coupled with only adjusting the power. Everything else will self-adjust, including the trim, as an auto trim feature. We've put the quick removal seats, hard seat in the back. This is a TAC Air hard seat, and we'll do more discussion of that. It comes out very easily and very quickly. I've talked to you about the auto trim. I've had to make some wiring changes. We're mounting our antennas up here, so I had to make an antenna mounting bracket. To mount the antennas, you'll see one antenna mounted. So there's a plate on the top. There's a reinforcing bracket on the back side. So we're putting the antennas for both GPSs, the G3X and the other radio and the comms. There's two comms. So it's a combination GPS comm antenna. So we're doing that. We're gonna have the large tail wheel. You'll see some of the wing components. We put the AHRS in the wing. Put the magnemometer out here in the wing. I really don't like having the AHRS behind the panel, which is customary on the kits. The factory puts the AHRS out here in the wing. We're still working on some of the pitot system there. We're gonna have very large tires, 31s, I believe. Got the Behringer brake solenoids. And this plane actually belongs to a friend of mine, and I'm helping him put it together. So it's gonna be pretty exciting to see how this turns out. The firewall is over here, and as you can see, we're putting the battery on the firewall, and I will go into more detail on that here in some later videos. But this video is really about the aluminum fuel lines. If you have any questions on those, let me know. I'll try to do what I can to help you. But again, make sure you have the right tools, the right skills. These AN fittings are not inexpensive, but the aluminum fuel lines will last, I think, a lot longer than the plastic fuel lines. And for a plane of this price, I think I prefer the aluminum. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching and have a good day.